It was a dark, cold Friday night in early February, and I was at the coolest party of the year. It was my friend Jamie's birthday party, and while I was in 6th grade, she and all of her friends were in 8th grade. I felt so cool. On that night, we did just about everything, until the clock struck 11, and Jamie came up with what would be the most epic game of Ding Dong Ditch ever. Of course, I'd heard of the game. You run around your neighborhood, ring the doorbell in everyone's houses, and then run away as fast as you can. But I felt just a little too chicken to play. I heard a little voice inside me saying, "Erin, what are you doing? What if someone catches you? You could be doing hard time for 20 to life. Don't you get it? Don't you understand?" But at the same time, I had a little voice inside me telling me, "Child, please. So what if you play? Nothing's gonna happen. Don't worry." And so I listened to the second voice and we ran. And honestly, we had a good time until Jamie's mom came outside, saw what we were doing, and we knew we would never hear the end of it. And while our little game seems innocent enough, this devil-may-care attitude I used to shut up my inner geek has become much more commonplace in our world. All too often in our lives and communities, we immediately respond, "So what?" for problems and situations, resulting in a lack of understanding of the long-term consequences that may follow. Journalist Brian Peters explains, "We've all done it. Faced with a situation that requires a choice, we know the right choice, but we pick the wrong choice. We all do this in our everyday lives. But the fact of the matter is, until we acknowledge the ramifications of brushing our worries aside, we will be harming ourselves and those around us. In this society, we need to learn that this problem has arisen because either A, we suffer from invincibility complex, or B, we have become way too carefree. The first main cause of our problem is the fact that we become just way too carefree in our society. Now, of course, we would all like to brush our worries aside. But in reality, we need to realize why we do this. Maybe it's because we want to forget about the worries of the world around us. We want to forget about the fact that America is in one of the worst recessions since the Great Depression. Or the fact that the rate of homelessness in America is growing at an alarming rate. We think that if we just brush these worries aside, they'll disappear. But is that the way reality really is? In 2006, 13-year-old Megan Meyer met a boy who was 16 on MySpace named Josh Evans. Little did she know that Josh Evans wasn't real. It was actually Lori Drew, the mother of one of her former friends, who had created the account to see what Megan had thought of her daughter. After a few weeks of talking, their relationship evolved, and they become what would be known as a thing. But after a few weeks of talking, Josh Evans told Megan Meyer a range of nasty comments and said that she didn't belong in this world. On October 17, 2006, Megan Meyer committed suicide by hanging herself in her closet. If she had listened to that voice inside her head that told her, "Don't do this, you don't even know him," she probably would have ended up still alive today. Other than being carefree, we like to believe that we are invincible. But are we really invincible? We have Superman and Wonder Woman, but that doesn't mean we can portray these characters in real life. In everyday lives, we like to believe we are invincible. Today, cell phone addiction is rising, and with the now famous crackberry. And while anything with crack in it is likely to be bad, while anything with crack in it is likely to be bad, it's where this problem has surfaced that causes the most concern. In a study by Virginia Tech Transportation Institute, drivers are 23 times more likely to get into a car accident while texting than one paying attention to the road. That's a lot of percentage. Sorry, I haven't thought
As journalist Mark Oler.
As journalist Mark Oler explains, we know it's wrong, but we choose to text while driving anyways. We think that we can get away with sending a little text to one of our friends. But that could be the difference in a life or death situation. Invincibility doesn't just take place in the roads. It can also occur in something as common as a local sports game. I know this because I play basketball, and I know that rush of adrenaline you feel as you step on the court. As you catch the ball and you run down the court, you suddenly think you are invincible. And then you step back into reality and realize that there are people in front of you ready to take the ball into your hands. you have to step back in reality and remember that you're not invincible. Dan Dierdorf, 13-season NFL football player, CBS sports analyst, and Pro Football Hall of Fame member once said, "You have an aura of invincibility when you're a great athlete. And all of a sudden, wow, you realize that that aura is a fantasy." We like to think that we're invincible in our sports games and everything. But in the end, we have to realize that we're not. In the end, we must rid ourselves of this so what aspect of our lives. We need to understand that we're not invincible. And while doing so, we can't brush things off completely, but at the same time, we can't overly worry. General George S. Patton explains,
Accept the challenges.
accept the challenges so you may feel the ramifications of
The exhilaration.
exhilaration of victory, Accept the challenges so you may feel the exhilaration of victory. This is the balance we all need. Maybe in our little game of Ding Dong Ditch, I shouldn't have ignored my inner geek and played. I mean, so what? So what? I was grounded for a month. That's so what?
But if we are willing,
to
fix our carefree
If we
attitude.
were willing to fix our carefree attitude and realize that we aren't invincible, we could be, I know this part,
We can start living.
we can start living happier, healthier, and safer lives. Only then can we say, so what, to so what. I know that, I practice it so much, I don't know why.